Oh, I'm so happy to be back on this stage, you guys. I was here last year. I talked about content because I love content. I talked about how I'm passionate about it. I also talked about how, as content marketers, we need to grow up, right? I talked about how we need to be held accountable and we need to measure our content, and we have to go beyond just creating content for the sake of creating content. And I'm super psyched to say that a year later, I think we solved all our problems. Okay, no, we didn't. Like, of course we didn't do that. That would be crazy. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have jobs. And here's how I can prove that. We're still creating way too much content. I have been using this stat for like several years now, and it used to be like 2 million blog posts a day, and now it's 4. So that's good news. We're still not measuring our content. 47% of B2B marketers don't measure the ROI from their content marketing. Yikes. And this one really hurts my heart because we're not talking to our customers about what matters to them. But that's okay, right? It's okay because progress takes time. We know it doesn't happen overnight. I tell myself that all the time. And we are seeing things like this, right? There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're seeing that people are prioritizing quality over quantity. Great. And we're seeing this. This makes me so happy. This is something that I talked a little bit about last year, is we're creating content for all stages of the funnel. It's not just about bringing people in through search, or it's not just about making that sale. It's about taking them through the funnel. It's about keeping them as customers, right? Giving your customers a reason to stay with you, to help them. That's good news. The thing is, we can always be better, right? It's why we're here. It's why we're here at Mozcon, right? Whether you're a content marketer who wants to try something new, or an SEO who relies on content to be successful, there's so many different things we can do. So this year, I thought instead of lecturing you all on content and how to grow up, I thought we'd kick it back. We'd talk about what we did as kids. We read. And I was laughing yesterday when Ross came up here and he showed that Scholastic Book Fair graphic. I was like, heck yeah, right? That was so exciting, and the crowd was pumped about it because we read. We read stories. We read Where the Wild Things Are and The Velveteen Rabbit and Cinderella, and these stories with characters that stuck with us, that resonated with us. And what I want is us to think about that. I'm not challenging you to go write an amazing story. But what I am challenging you is to use your content to connect with your audience, to connect people to your brand, and to make them remember you, right? How do we use this concept we learned as kids to connect with people, right? To make them like us? Because people are already doing this. 52% of marketers are already using storytelling in their content, and that's cool. And now here's the thing. I think a lot of us think like, oh, Nike or Apple, like, yeah, they make these cool stories and they're this big brand with these big budgets. But that's not just the case. There's smaller brands doing that as well. Who here's heard of Wegmans? Yeah, right? Like, Wegmans is a grocery store in upstate New York, from Rochester, New York, where I'm based out of. And if you ever meet anyone who's been to a Wegmans, they are psyched about it. Someone just shouted out of the crowd about a grocery store. And if you think I'm kidding, check this out. 2 years ago, there was a grocery store opening in New Jersey, and the mayor had to tell people, don't camp out. Like, how much could you love apples that you wanted to wait out in a parking lot to get into a grocery store? But that's the thing, right? People love Wegmans because they've built this brand that people connect with. And they do a lot of it through their content marketing. I adore their content marketing. Check out their Instagram. It's not just food, it's not just produce, it's not just the people who work there. It's recipes, and it's ideas, and it's things that are actually helpful. Their emails, it's not sales, it's not coupons, it's not the things you might expect from a grocery store. What it is recipes, and it's things about how to make my life easier. My life is someone who doesn't have time to cook. They give me these things. They also have a print magazine, which I think is awesome because it's like, yeah, print, still doing it. But it's sent out with each season, and it focuses on recipes, but also like the farmers that they use, and it tells the stories behind where they source their products. That's really cool. They're building this stuff that connects people to them, and it makes me feel like they care about me. Because that's the key, right? What do people actually care about? Themselves. We care about ourselves. We care about being seen, and we care about people solving our problems. We care about feeling important. And that becomes our jobs as content marketers. It becomes our job to create things that do just that, to create something they care about that reflects their interests, that connects them to us. And we can do that by these 4 things. We got to identify their needs, think simple, get creative, and tell a story. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So to start, and this really shouldn't come as any surprise to anyone, we have to understand who our audience is and what they want. We do that all the time as marketers, right? That's our goal. We have to understand our audience. There's a whole level of psychology and marketing that we use every day, whether we realize it or not. And to do that, we need to find out who they are, what they care about, and what problems they have. We have the data. We have the tools. Who is our audience? Does anyone here actually ever look at Google Analytics demographics? Yeah, no, none of us do, right? Because it's kind of sucky. But if we're simply looking to understand who our audience is, where they are and who they are and their age and some of the things they're interested in, doesn't it make sense to look at it? To find out who the people who are actually visiting our site and reading our content are? Yeah, of course it does. LinkedIn, another analytics platform that kind of sucks. But locations, job functions, seniority, titles, these are things that are important to us. We need to understand who these people are. Email databases, same thing, we can get this info. Another way to do this that I think is pretty cool, SEMrush has this display advertising tool. And in it, you can go and see if you're running display ads, who the audience is you're actually targeting. Now, if you're not running display ads, you can go and put your competitors in to see who they're actually targeting. So now you're not just getting your visitors, you're getting an industry perspective. Take a look, right? It's not great, but it's still valuable. And let's be honest, when we're thinking about who they are and what they care about, this is essentially the heart of an SEO's job. Right? We're figuring out what they care about, what they search for, what they like. And again, it's taking these tools that we have and we use and thinking about them in a different way. I use BuzzSumo all the time. I talk about BuzzSumo all the time. I love it. I think it does a million things that are amazing for content research. They also have an influencer tool in there. And within it, I can go in and see who's sharing a specific piece of content. So whether it's from me, whether it's from a competitor, whoever it is, I can see who's sharing it. I can also see what they're interested in. I can see the topics that they care about. I can see the domains that they share content from. That's what they care about, right there. Keywords Everywhere is an amazing plugin. If you're not using this for keyword research or content research, download it right now. Just stop listening to me and go download this. It is good. It has everything. It basically gives you like Uber suggest results and what people also search for right there in your browser. And hopefully they bring back, they had one that it puts in your own page and it tells you what's relevant. Hopefully they bring that back. Use this, right? These are what people care about. These are the things, right? This is keyword research. We do this all the time. Here's another tool. A lot of times when I talk about this, specifically this, I'll use keywordtool.io, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. But I came across this tool recently that I think is so unbelievably cool. They have a free version. You don't necessarily get search volume, but also who cares? You can put in a term and you can get all of the related terms around it. But what makes it awesome is this. It will give you YouTube. It will give you Google News. It will give you Google Images. It will give you Amazon, DuckDuckGo. What people care about in those places are different, right? And this will show you that. Here's what people are talking about on this platform versus this. Free tools, really cool. This helps us understand what our audience actually cares about. Of course, that leads to their problems. If we're thinking about what they care about, we're also thinking about what problems they have. And this is great, because this is another thing as content marketers we do all the time. We're figuring out how to address questions. We're using the tools we have to find questions. And so I know most people are familiar with Answer the Public, FAQ Fox, things like that. So I wanted to show a couple other ones that I've been using. SEMrush has a topic research tool within the platform now, and in it, it will give you all of the different topics related to that particular keyword. And it will also show you all the headlines and all the questions associated to that. Awesome, right? That is fantastic data. Those are the problems your customers have. BuzzSumo, same thing. It will give you all of the questions associated to it. And yesterday when Ross was talking about create that content and then go put it elsewhere, right here. This is telling me that these questions are in Quora, and here's the link. Well, now when I have that content, I can take it and go put it there, right? This is giving me all of that in one place. A newer tool that I like that kind of does everything, so it goes a little bit above and beyond Answer the Public, it's story-based. So it is paid. You can try it for free, but it's like 14 bucks a month or something. But essentially, it gives you all of the questions associated to a term. It also gives you phrases, and it gives you demographics of the people who are asking those questions. Don't ask me how it does it. I'm not asking questions. Sounds like a privacy thing, but I'm going to use it while it's here. We have to figure out how to solve people's problems if we want to create content that actually resonates with our audience, right? We have to understand that who, the what, and their problems and how we solve them. We also have to think simple. I know that can be hard because we're not really taught to do that. We're taught to write these long pieces of content. We're told that, oh, 2,000 word pieces tend to do better. Okay, well, I guess I'm writing 2,000 word pieces now, right? That's sort of our mentality. But the reality is, we need to speak to what our audience cares about. Has anyone seen this brand Somersault? No? Okay, well, they do an absolutely amazing job. So they're a swimwear company, and they're all about like body positivity and inclusivity, environmental awareness, which is kind of a lot for just selling a swimsuit. But they do it well, and they tell their message and their story in a way that actually comes across in a very simple way. This is pulled from their Instagram, and you can see there's not a ton of words. But when I see that, I am well aware of what their message is. They also do this, and this is one of the coolest pieces of content I have come across in a really long time. Because if you're a woman trying to buy a bathing suit on the internet, it's like throwing a dart with a blindfold. You do not know, right? You do not know what you're getting. And if you're searching for what bathing suit size should I use, you find things like this. No, it's still going, and I don't know how to find my bathing suit size. Still going. Oh, we're done. Or you get a chart like this. Again, not really that helpful. What they created was a tool that asks you some simple questions and then gives you the recommended size in some suits that you might be interested in. That's awesome. And yes, we don't all sell swimsuits. I work with a lot of B2B companies who sell software, and guess what? This still applies. Think about the tools that you use. When you think about crawl tools, how do they charge? Based on URLs. When you think about the rankings tool you use, how do they charge? Based on keywords. What if there was a tool like this that actually guided you through it to help you figure out what plan you needed and what piece of software you needed? That's awesome. It's simple. It's helpful. It'd be much easier. Sometimes we just have to think about things in a simpler way. We have to give our customers what they need, and we can't make them dig for it. And as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about the content specifically in our space that's always stood out to me and that I still remember. Does anyone remember this? No one? Oh my God, it's so funny. So years ago, when there was like a million social media platforms coming out, we couldn't figure out what any of them did. Avalanche Media went and created the social media breakdown of social platforms. And you know why? Because people love cats. You saw Rob's presentation. He loves cats. People love cats, right? But what it does is it gives me this in a way that wasn't just someone writing about what every social media platform is. And they continue to update it to this day because it still gets links. It's still fun. It's still simple. Buffer's image social media sizing, I use this all the time. I don't even have it bookmarked. I just know that if I need sizing for Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, I can Google Buffer social media images, and this will come up. They keep it updated. Seer's another one. So Seer has this Screaming Frog guide to basically doing anything. And anytime I'm using Screaming Frog and I have a question on how to do something, inevitably, the answer is in here. It's easy, it's simple. And that's what all of these things have in common, right? They're helpful and they're simple and they answer my questions. But keeping things simple is actually pretty hard. How do we actually do that? Well, there's a few things. First is, you gotta get to the point. And if anyone is ever in Boston and you love dingy, smelly bars, there is a bar called The Point that's pretty sweet. Go there. If you've ever looked for a recipe online, you've probably encountered this. See the recipe yet? No, we're still waiting. I'm never gonna get to make this mac and cheese. Look, a lot of things that recipe bloggers do, I get it, right? They're building a site based on their story. They're creating the story to connect with their audience, to resonate with their audience, to keep people coming back. But if I just want the recipe, give it to me. Put a link at the top that says get recipe. Make it simple, right? I shouldn't have to dig through words and words and words just to find the recipe for mac and cheese. I would have given up. Screw your word count. Seriously, I know that we're fighting the search results. I spend endless hours in the search results looking at my content, competitors' content, what's in there, to try to make mine better, and often that means bigger and better. But it doesn't mean you have to make everything bigger and better. Think about those questions we talked about. Whether creating a how-to guide, a video, even a comprehensive guide, make the answers easy to find, right? Don't bury them. Every piece of content doesn't have to be the best and biggest or the biggest. It just has to answer the question. There's a tool called eSummarizer. And essentially what it does is you can take your text and you can put it into this tool and it'll summarize it for you in a certain number of sentences. So if you're ever thinking, gosh, this piece is getting really wordy, go throw it in there because it'll give you the takeaways. And honestly, it does a pretty good job and it's free. It's not gonna be perfect, but it'll show you, oh, hey, maybe there are some things that I can cut out. And lastly, if we want to keep it simple, we have to be helpful. Those pieces I shared, they're helpful. That's why I remember them. That swimsuit fitting tool, yeah, it's cool, but it's also really freaking helpful. Think simple just means giving your audience what they want in a direct manner. Okay, so we've talked about how we can help our audience, we've talked about their problems, we've talked about how we can keep it simple. This is something that I really struggle with, and I think a lot of us really struggle with this, and that's the creative side. And you know how I know that's the case? Because of this. Stop with the shitty stock images, please, right? Yes, yes, oh dear Lord. They're easy, right? They're easy to find. We know that if I add an image to social media updates, it's gonna increase my engagement. Well, you know what? You don't have to add a crappy image. Just do it right. What we want to create are images that connect customers to our brand, that inspire them to take action, to get their attention, and stand out in a sea of junk. I came across this ad on Facebook a couple months ago. And you know how it's good? I stopped and clicked. Yeah, I clicked on a Facebook ad. It was fun, it was colorful, it caught my attention. And you know what else happened? A couple weeks ago, I was in REI, and I came across these coats. And I remembered it. And guess who's the proud new owner of a windbreaker? Just kidding, they didn't have my size, but I'm still on the lookout, guys. But just imagine how clever this ad is and how good it is that not only did it stop me in the middle of my Facebook scrolling, it caught my eye in a store and I remembered it and I tried it on and now I've been on the lookout for this specific jacket. That is good stuff. And here's why that's important. We remember what we see. 80% of people remember what they see versus 20% who remember what they read. That's the impact that visuals can have. Here's where it gets challenging. For you and I think, well, I don't really have time for this. This isn't really my job. I'm not a Photoshop expert. The great thing is, you don't have to be anymore. We live in a time with technology that makes this stuff easy, that makes it accessible. This little GIF right here that I put in the slideshow took me less than a minute to make. This is a silly GIF I made for National Chocolate Chip Day. It's important to have cookies in the workplace. I'm not saying this is good, but what I am saying is I'm not great with technology, and I managed to create something that was better than a stock photo in under 3 minutes. We have the ability to go above and beyond. We don't have to live in stock image hell. We don't. So we're going to get into some tools, because this is Mozcon, and we need tools, right? We want tools. But before we do that, I want to talk about some things that you should think about when creating your image. And the first is to choose colors wisely. Now, if you've ever gone to a conversion conference or watched a conversion presentation, they talk a lot about colors, right? You can change a banner, and it might lift your leads by 50%. Like, that's insane. But colors make a difference in the psychology of how we as humans respond. I have a lot of security clients. They use red because it means strength. Social networks use blue because trust and loyalty, which has never seemed more ironic, right? But these colors, they matter. So when you're thinking about your images, think about what you want to convey to your audience. We also want to add movement. Right, that Cotopaxi ad, it caught my eye because yes, it was colorful, but it also moved. It kept my attention, it grabbed my attention amongst just a sea of static imagery. And this isn't surprising. Video posts receive 38% more engagement than image posts. Of course they do. And what about location? I do not think this is something we think about. But if you're a local business, use local images. Right? Go out there and take photos of what's in your town. I was reading this study, and I loved this because I thought this made such a great point. There's a reason why the first thing we ask people is, where are you from? That's who we're connected to. That's who we are as people. We're connected to our community and our town. When I see things from Boston in movies or in ads, I think, wow, they must get me, right? I know that. I'm familiar with that. I immediately connect with that. Think about that. It's not hard. But how often are you really considering the location of where your photos are? Okay, tools. So I could go on and on about this. There's a ton of tools that are really amazing for creating images and videos and everything else. I picked these because these are ones that I use pretty regularly, and they're also free or have a free version, which is important when you don't have a big budget. Pixlr's awesome. So Pixlr's actually like a Photoshop alternative that's based in your web browser. They have ads on it, not a big deal, but it's really great if you just need to crop something, if you need to replace something, you need to make an icon for a presentation, whatever it might be. Super easy to use, free, again. If you have not seen this tool, go check it out. I don't even care if you stop ignoring my presentation because this thing is amazing. One of the things I struggle with the most, especially when it comes to Photoshop, is getting rid of a background. Remove.bg will do that for you. And it works really well, specifically with people with photos versus like landscape pictures, but it's so awesome. It's free. You put something in there and it removes the background for you right away, giving you a transparent image. Snappa, essentially an alternative to Canva. I think most people are probably familiar with Canva, pretty basic. I know most people are familiar with Canva because I see a lot of the Canva graphics on social media updates. Snappa takes that a little bit above and beyond. They have a free version, pretty great. Even their paid version is pretty low cost. But it allows you to create graphics that are a little more interesting, a little more colorful, a little more eye-grabbing than what you might find on Canva. All of the screen grabs and screen recordings and GIFs that you've seen in this presentation were built through recordit.co. It's a free app. You can download it. Essentially, it takes screen recordings, turns them into GIFs for you that you can download. Now, why that's important is that there's a lot of times that words simply can't explain something in a way that an image or video can, and maybe you don't want to create a full video. Here's an example. If someone can't figure out how to use your software interface, why not create a quick screen grab of where they can find something? Put it on the FAQ page, put it on the support page, whatever it might be. It's really easy to use. Giphy's another one. Giphy has an app, so if you want to do things on your phone, you can throw some photos in there, you can throw a video in there, whatever it might be, it'll create a GIF for you. I do think they watermark them, so if you don't mind that. Which brings me to your phone. When people say that they can't create images, or they can't create videos, or they don't know how, that is bullshit, because what we have on our phones right now is utterly unbelievable. My camera takes better photos than my actual camera. And on top of it, I can do things like create videos. I can edit videos. I can take screen grabs on my phone, screen recordings. I didn't even know you could do this till I was making this presentation, you guys. Like, that's cool. There's always new things coming out. And for videos, a couple other ones that I sometimes put in here is like Biteable, which is a nice one that'll allow you to just like cut and paste video. But Lumens 5, really easy, great for making like quick videos for social, cool things. Again, free version. Why am I telling you this? Because this list of tools could go on, but the point is, it's easy for us to create something that's better, to make something that's more impactful. Now, this is a little bit off topic, but it's Mozcon, and that means I need to talk a little bit about search and how we can figure out how to take advantage of images in search results, because we're seeing images in search results all the time now, right? We're seeing videos in search results all the time. Here's how we can sort of reverse engineer it. So in SEMrush, if you go and put your domain, you can see what you're ranking for that actually has images or video results in them. And now, I can go and take a look at the search results to see, oh, here are the types of images that are showing up. Here's the intent of this. And now, I can create a better image. I can put it in my post or my article that's already ranking, and now I have a pretty good chance of also getting into that image result. You can also do this the opposite way. So if you're trying to figure out keywords and what have images in search results, throw in a keyword and filter by images. Awesome, right? If you're struggling to figure out where to start, this is where to start, because you're not just focused on the user, you're also focused on search, right? And as SEOs, like, we're held accountable for our metrics. Take a look here. This is a tip that Will gave years ago, but he was talking about Quora, and it actually works for like any domain. So basically, you can put a domain into SEMrush, and it'll spit out all the things that that site is ranking for, and then I can filter by keyword. So if I'm thinking, like, I want to start making how-to videos, but I'm not sure where to start, right here. Find which search results already have videos there. That's where you want to start. Same thing with Pinterest. Yesterday, Ross talked about adding some of your content, putting it in Pinterest. Here's another way to do that. We're kind of double dipping. This is exciting, you guys. I'm telling you how to hack the search engines. Don't tell Russ Jones. Our images play a role in our content, right? And getting creative, it doesn't have to be hard. But if you really want to make something people remember, sometimes we have to go beyond words. You just have to. Which takes me to this last piece, which is telling a story, right? I started with the idea of reading and telling a story and that concept of creating something that people remember. And honestly, images can do that a lot better sometimes. But stories in our content are really important to creating those things that people remember. And I'm going to prove it to you. One, a stat, because people believe in stats. Messages delivered to stories 22% more memorable than just facts. But here's how I'm going to show that to you. Let's say I have a bakery. I make dog birthday cakes, because that's also a thing, and they're very expensive. And I'm telling you that dogs love birthday cakes. Well, cool. I'm sure they do, Case. What if I show you this? Yeah, look how happy he is. Like, he's so happy about that cake. I freaking love this picture. Get content from your customers of the dogs actually enjoying cake. Here's the perfect example of where user-generated content can be really powerful. I'm telling a story much better than this does, right? Wegmans, I talked earlier about how they talk about how they partner with local farmers. So does everyone, right? Farm to table. Okay, great. They have things like this.
At Wegmans, we work hard to bring you the freshest, best tasting, highest quality foods. We even have our own organic farm and partner with family farms that share our values right here in New Jersey.
The Wegmans has an interest in us doing a good job. They're a family operation. They wanted more of a partnership. They want good quality product. I get such satisfaction out of working with somebody who's interested in organic agriculture and being successful.
Better tasting food grown right here in our region. Every day, you get our best.
I love that guy. I want to buy stuff from him, right? And that's better than just telling me he's a local farmer. I could go on and on about this, but the gist is, this is how we get people to remember our brands. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be big. This is how you get people to walk into REI and almost buy your coat. So I want to end with this. We can always get better, right? As SEOs, as content marketers, as digital marketers, whatever it is we are, we're always trying to figure out how to be better, how to get better. We talk a lot about, like, where is Google going and where is search going, where is content going? This is where it's going. It's going to a place where we cut out all of the junk and we actually show people the things that they care about and we get creative. And that starts here with these 4 things: understanding our audience, thinking simple, being creative, and telling a story. So I want to leave with just this one thing. I want you to leave this session and I want you to go do something. I want you to create an image or a video or a GIF or whatever it is, something that you haven't done before, and share it. Send it to me. I'll buy you a beer. They're free tonight, right? Is that tomorrow? I'll buy you a beer tomorrow. Look, this is cool stuff. This is where we want to go. As content marketers, yes, I want you to think back to being a kid, but this is also about growing up, and these are the things that we can be doing. So, thank you.